So UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Spivak has had some major updates because the road to UFC finals has been confirmed to be on this card in the UFC Apex. I wish it was in front of the South Korean card, but obviously, unfortunately, that card was thrown in the bin because the Korean Zombie wasn't going to be able to make it to the event. So that's a big shame. In my opinion, I was looking forward to the card being in South Korea, but I don't know, I guess Do-Ho Choi can't sell out the arena himself, so I guess it makes sense. Maybe over the next year or so, we're going to see more Asian fighters signed to the UFC that can potentially turn into big stars over time. I think there's definitely a couple of stars in the making on the road to UFC finals, which I'll talk about. It is going to be a little bit later than standard. 10 p.m. Eastern time is the start time, but it's because it's catered to the Asian audience. UFC is really trying to build into the Asian audience with this tournament. I think it's a pretty smart idea. It just wasn't really marketed as well as everything else. I feel like maybe if they did the tournament, like the brackets, not on separate days, like on the early prelims, I feel like that would have been a really smart idea, you know what I mean? Because they did it UFC 280, 275, UFC 280, but they were just like either the day before the event or the day after. If they did it on the early prelims and just threw in like heaps more fights and just had the card start at like midday or whatever, I think that would have been a smarter idea. I think that would have got a lot more attention, but obviously, it's all done now, and the guys are going to get all the attention on the very hyped up UFC Apex card. But it's for catered for Asian fighters, Asian audiences, sorry, because most of the card is from Asia, which I do think just makes total sense to me. But Hyun-Sung Park versus Young-Guk Choi is the first matchup. I'm going to be going with against the fan vote, man. I'm going with Young-Guk Choi. I feel like he's just impressed me a lot more in this road to UFC tournament than Hyun-Sung Park has. And if you look at the Tapology predictions, 3% are picking Choi, literally 3%. I know there's only 75 votes, but it is a pretty good indication of where the votes are probably going to end up towards the end. But I like Young-Guk Choi in the matchup, I really do. I mean, I know he's only 6-1, but Hyun-Sung Park's only 7-0 himself, and they both haven't fought that great competition until they got to the road to UFC. I mean, Choi beat Ramos Supandi, looked really good in that fight, and then he beat Ki Lun, and that was a very impressive win. Because in my opinion, Ki Lun won on Dana White's Contender Series. He lost a split decision. I think he won. Ki Lun was also like a minus 800 favorite. Not in that fight, but the fight before that. Like Ki Lun was a guy that was expected to win the whole thing. Young-Guk Choi ended up beating him. And now Hyun-Sung Park's his opponent. And Hyun-Sung Park got dropped by Top Noi Karan, but aside from that, he did end up submitting him. He's just a little bit more well-rounded than Top Noi. And Jeremiah Sirigari knocked him out. But aside from that, he hasn't really fought anyone either. He fought a lot of debuting guys to get to 5-0, and I just think that Young-Guk Choi has looked more impressive in the tournament than Hyun-Sung Park, and I just like Young-Guk Choi's striking. I think he's pretty well-rounded as well. He trains under the Korean Zombie. Korean Zombie's obviously going to be a very good coach one day for the South Korean fighters. He does have quite a few that have come up through his gym. Young-Guk Choi's one of them, and he's looked really good since entering the tournament, so I like Young-Guk Choi in that matchup. And the next one is Rinya Nakamura versus Toshiyomi Kazama. Rinya Nakamura, before the event even started, before the event was even announced, I made the statement that Rinya Nakamura was going to win the whole thing, and I still stand by that for sure. I think Rinya Nakamura will win. Toshiyomi Kazama only fought once in the tournament because he's meant to fight Minoru Kim, but Minoru Kim actually he actually missed weight, and if you missed weight in the tournament, then your opponent just gets a bye. Because it's a tournament, you actually have to make weight, you know what I mean? Like, there are 8-man tournaments, the winner progresses, this and that. And, yeah, Minoru Kim missed weight, Toshiyomi Kazama's opponent, so Kazama didn't have to fight. He's only fought once in the tournament, and he looked pretty good in that fight. He beat Kirimali Mai Tahiti, I believe is how his name is pronounced. When Kirimali is a really good fighter, that was actually a really, really impressive win, because I did think Kirimali was going to do very good himself. Now, Rinya Nakamura, this guy is great. This guy's like an under-23 freestyle wrestling medalist. I believe he's a world cadet wrestling medalist, if that makes any sense. It's all on his Tapology page. If my laptop's going to load it. I'm having lots of problems with my laptop recently, but I will be recording on my PC when I move houses, which is very soon. So, but yeah, he's got a background in freestyle wrestling, this and that. 1 silver and 2 bronzes in the 2017 Under-23s Freestyle Wrestling World Championships. There you go, and he's also medaled at the World Cups as well for freestyle wrestling. So, Rinya Nakamura, legit wrestler, but he's got really good hands too, man. This guy wasn't fighting the best competition, but then he ended up fighting Alejandro Caetano. And I believe Alejandro Caetano has he's fought someone that I think was on Dana White's Contender Series or something like that. There is some sort of link there with Alejandro Caetano that he's a good fighter. He beat Gugan Guzman by submission in the first round. Beat Xiaohei Jose, I believe that was a first round KO. I think he's going to finish Toshiomi Kazama as well, use that wrestling and work. But Toshiomi Kazama does have really good grappling himself, and I believe he's got a really good judo background. One thing that is a big red flag to me was this guy was knocked out by a flying knee by a 2-2 opponent, literally 2 months before his fight with Kieran Moali, which is random. I think they were trying to, his team was going to try and keep him active and pad his record a little bit before the tournament, make him look a little bit better, and it really backfired pretty badly. But I do think Rinny Nakamura is going to win this one. Rinny Nakamura is the truth. Nakamura by finish in the first 2 rounds, in my opinion. Now, the next one is Zha Yi versus Jung Young Lee. I'm actually going to be going with Jung Young Lee in this one here. I think he might be the underdog in the predictions. He's not. He's actually the favorite in the predictions. I respect that. Zha Yi's very impressed me. To be fair, he has looked really good. He's got a couple of finishes. Split decision win over Koyomi Matsushima, but Koyomi Matsushima is a very good fighter. And he had very high level competition going into that fight. Keisuke Sasu is a pretty good win. Keisuke Sasu ended up beating the 23-3 Chinese prospect Balajin on like a bonus fight sort of thing. And before that, level of competition wasn't that great. He actually lost to Kiramoali Mai Tahiti, who was fighting who lost to Toshiomi Kazama, to make a link there. But Jung Young Lee, this guy is good. I believe he'd come out after a big layoff, long layoff, but yeah. But 3-year layoff, submitted Bin Z in like 40 seconds, and then knocked out Kai Lu in the first round, and I think he's going to finish Zha Yi as well. But Zha Yi is really trying to hype this fight up. Like, they did a face-off for the finals, and Zha Yi was all getting in his face, and okay, there we go. He knocked out Kai Lu in 42 seconds, and he submitted Bin Ji in 36 seconds after a 3-year layoff. I mean, is that not absolutely insane? I think he's going to do something similar. I think it's going to last longer than 30 seconds. But I think it's going to be a first round finish, and Jung Young Lee is going to make a name for himself out of this win, man. I really is. I mean, Zha Yi is 21-3 at the end of the day, and Jung Young Lee is young. He's 27 years old. He's from South Korea. I mean, and so is Zha Yi. Both of these guys are very marketable. Both of these guys, they could build up into really good contenders. We've both got good records, 9-1 and 21-3, but I am going with Lee by first round finish, by KO or by submission. I think KO is more likely because Zha Yi is very dangerous on the ground. The next fight is Anshul Jubli taking on Jika Saragi. And believe it or not, I was not sold on Anshul Jubli, like, whatsoever, going into his fight against Kyung Pyo Kim. And it was a split decision. Sorry, give me one moment because I'm sick. I'm going to cough, which is going to be... Hopefully my mic was muted. I think it was. Now, Anshul Jubli, I had no belief in this guy whatsoever. He went in 5-0. I believe his opponent missed weight or something like that, so he ended up getting a bye. Fought Kyung Pyo Kim, who looked really good in his first fight. And Anshul Jubli, he impressed me a lot on the feet. He looked really good. And the thing about Anshul Jubli is, I feel like he's got a really good base to become a really good prospect. I feel like right now, he's not super skilled, but I feel like if you give this guy time, he's going to refine that skill set that he's already got, and he's kind of become really good. But right now, I'm not completely sold on a skill set, but from what I did see against Kyung Pyo Kim, I do think he's going to beat Jika Saragi. Jika Saragi didn't impress me all that much. Like, he got a first round KO, I believe, in his last fight, but before that, he was having a competitive fight with a guy that looked like he just didn't cut weight, like, whatsoever. He just showed up. And Pawan Mansinj. He did knock out Won Bin Ki in the first round, which is actually very impressive because Won Bin Ki's like massive, and I did think Won Bin Ki was going to win that fight. But I like Anshul Jubli, man. Like, he's underrated. You'll understand what I mean when you see his fight against Kyung Pyo Kim. When I say, like, he's got a very good base to become a very good fighter, but right now his skills aren't super refined. But I think he's definitely going to go on and do something. If he wins this, I think he's going to go on and maybe put India on the map, because India is building up a pretty good regional scene right now. They've got a promotion called MFN, and MFN is actually owned by a lot of Bollywood stars, and these Bollywood stars are putting tons of money into the production at MFN, and they're just really fun events to watch. So I think the Indian regional scene is definitely going to get a boost if Anshul Jubli gets into the UFC. But yeah, I like Anshul Jubli to win. So to go over that, I like Seung-Guk Choi. I like Rinya Nakamura, I like Jiang Yang Lee, and I like Inshul Jubilee. But what are the predictions for the Inshul Jubilee fight? 17% Inshul, jeez. I understand. Jikas Sagrigi could really just knock him out. I wouldn't be that surprised if that happened, but I like what I saw, and I really do against Kyungpo Kim. So, and it's also a similar matchup, I guess, in a way, the Kyungpo Kim and Jikas Sagrigi fight. But yeah, let me know what you think of this prediction video. The whole card's pretty fun because it is a lot of Asian fighters. You don't see a lot of them. I'm personally really looking forward to Tatsuro Taira's fight, Yusaku Kinoshita's debut. Dennis Tiulin, I always get excited for Dennis Tiulin fights. Just something about him that I like. It's kind of like the I'll fight anyone attitude, you know what I mean? Like, he's fighting Jung Young Park after beating Jamie Pickett. Like, that's a pretty crazy fight, isn't it? Dalton Jung's going to be fun. Du Ho Choi's big return. Derek Lewis is going to look pretty good against Sergey Spivak. He lost a lot of weight recently. But I do think that Sergey Spivak, it's just like not a good matchup for Derek Lewis. And I think that Derek Lewis is he's going to get finished eventually. So, yeah, give me Spivak. But, yeah, I'll leave it there. So, I think I'll leave a like, leave a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.